thank you so much, Nick, for joining us tonight. We know that you're bi-coastal, so it's so glad for us, such a great thing for us that you're actually here in Los Angeles. Congratulations on your recent Emmy Award. How do you feel about that?
Thank you so much, and thank you to my friends at Better Earth Media for putting this on. It's been so many times we've talked about doing an event together, and we finally did it. So I'm so grateful to be here, and thankful for everyone who came out today. Winning an Emmy was not something I thought would happen when I decided to quit my job and start doing houseplant installations in New York in 2019. But it was an amazing show. If you haven't seen it, it's called Instant Dream Home on Netflix. We renovate the homes of deserving families in 12 hours, literally 12 hours, with 200 people. And we won for most outstanding instructional, and it was pretty wild considering Netflix told us 2 months after that we were not coming back for a second season, even though we were top 5 in the US and all that stuff. I'm not bitter at all, by the way, about any of this. But you know, you do the best you can and you're rewarded for it and help amazing people. So it was really, really special.
Well, congratulations on the award, and they should have signed you on for more seasons. Sometimes, though, you got to leave them wanting more. And I think people do want more, which is, you know, it's a good thing for us and lucky for us that you're here and able to be here. And had you filmed more episodes, maybe you couldn't have been here tonight. So it worked out for us, and hopefully it's working out for you as well. So we're grateful to have you here. Before we dive in a little bit more to our conversation, let's talk about you a little bit more and how your passion for plants and the planet first sparked. So how did that start? Were you born having a passion for plants and the planet, or was this something that happened over time?
So I was the opposite of an environmentalist and a vegan especially growing up. I was a stereotypical bro. Like, I played college baseball. I regrettably mocked the Meatless Monday kids in the dining hall. I was like, I'm gonna eat 2 cheeseburgers now. Like, I have those guys in my DMs and comments as we speak. But it was never on my radar. I always was into nature because I liked going outside with my grandfather, catching frogs, and it wasn't until I graduated college in 2014 now, and my mom, being the good mother that she is, she said, if you're gonna live here rent-free, you have to do something around the house. I was like, well, what do you want me to do? She goes, you love food, you love being outside, why not start a garden? I knew nothing about plants or anything. Went to Home Depot, threw some plants in the ground, and when you get to taste the literal fruits of your labor, something just clicks. And I was like, I need to do this more. And so I moved into New York City 3 years later and kind of went into withdrawal because you have this green space and all of a sudden you have nothing. I was a 600 square foot apartment with another human being and a dog. So I did the only thing that made sense, and I bought 120 houseplants and put them in my home. And then I started sharing it on social media, and people said, hey, can you come do that for my home? Oh, I have a terrace, can you come do this terrace instead? Oh, I have a home in Long Island that's $20 million, can you do that yard? And it just spiraled into this thing where, dare I say, it grew organically, but it did. Because I was waking up at 5 in the morning, going to the flower market, and then going to my 9-to-5 job. So it was an amazing experience and something that truly was a side hustle before it became my full-time job.
Thank you for sharing that, and for your personal journey, your transformative journey as well, because I think people sometimes forget that we don't start off being, you know, advocates for the environment or the animals. Most of us were not raised vegan, so this is something that we've chosen to do, and it's been a transformation journey for everybody. So it's nice to hear that. So thank you for sharing that bit of your story as well. There's hope for everybody, right? So you host courses, create videos, organize plant-based trips. You wrote a book on plant care, and you recently won that Emmy that we talked about for the show Instant Dream Home, which you were an integral part of. If you're reflecting on these multifaceted experiences, what does your work with plants teach you about our relationship with the planet as a whole?
It's my thesis that plants are stepping stones towards sustainability. And if you don't have experience with it, if you've never teased the roots out of a plant or gotten your hands dirty, how can we expect you to care? If you're a kid growing up in New York whose feet may not touch the dirt and the soil, literally for months at a time, It's asphalt, cement, wood, linoleum. If they're not close to Central Park, where unfortunately, a lot of people don't have access to those areas, you're not going to connect. And we as a species suffer from what's called plant blindness, where we don't even notice the trees and the plants in our spaces. So for me, it's if I can get you to care about that small plant on that table, you're going to start caring about the big plant we all live on. And I get frustrated by the scientific community sometimes because they say, oh, don't anthropomorphize animals or plants. They don't have emotions. Don't give them names. But I think we use that as an excuse to treat them poorly. But if you naming that succulent Larry makes you take care of the planet better and think differently about your relationship, do it. Because all of those are opportunities to show empathy and start caring about something you didn't have before. But you need to be able to see it and experience it to get there.
Yeah, that's so true, and I'm absolutely going to name a plant in my home Larry, by the way. Is anybody else going to start naming their plants? If you haven't already, yes. I had like maybe 3 people say yes. Who's going to start naming their plants after that? Yes, because you're going to take care of them, right? Yeah, I love that. I'm more of a dog person myself, but so I have to be careful to choose plants that are okay for my dogs to be around, because they will dig into them. So they do not care if the plants are named. I do, but my dogs don't. So how do you think environmental media such as television, film, music, socials, publications, and more can help shift our global consciousness towards a better relationship between humans and the natural world?
I think the media approach to environmentalism in its current form is actually really struggling. And it's frustrating because the more time that passes, the more urgency we have. Yet people don't resonate with doom and gloom. They don't want to think about it. When they put on something, they want to see a happy story, or they want to have happy content that makes them feel good. And so personally, my approach has always been to sneak the education in there if they're laughing and smiling in the process. And I'll dress up as a plant, I'll make a fool of myself on social media, and if I can get you to laugh and just buy into who I am first, then you might learn something along the way. And it's a long game. It's a major long game. But if you can get someone to say, hey Nick, I saw that video and you were pretending to be a plant talking to your human and it made me laugh, and now all of a sudden I planted a native garden for the first time, or I started eating more plant-based meals for the first time. That's not a direct, hey, you need to do this because our planet is dying. That's a, hey, you inspired me to do this because I wanted to do something that you did. And I think that's the approach that we have to have, because unfortunately, with every documentary that's out there, it's a lot of like, hey, this is a huge problem, which it is, but it's still not getting the result that we need. So for me, it's how can I educate not just adults, but also young kids too with media, because they're the most kind of impressionable. And I also think, because I just finished filming a second season of my kids show, where I pretend to be a clueless but lovable human named Farmer Nick who knows nothing about plants, and he learns about plants from a sunflower that he imagines in his head, which is also me dressed as a sunflower. And the goal of that is not just to educate people and give kids projects that they can do at home with their parents or teachers, but especially show young boys in a fun, silly format that it's cool to care. For some reason, as young boys age, it becomes uncool to show compassion and uncool to care about stuff. And that pisses me off like crazy, because I was that kid. And all of a sudden I lost it when I went to middle school, high school. But if I can show them like, hey, you can be masculine, you can grow a beard, you can play sports, you can care about fantasy football and still have a flower garden, I think that's a beautiful thing. So that has been a major goal.
I love that. You just answered the next question. Within that answer, we're going to talk about the plant-based masculinity. You already did that. And I just have to say I'm a little bit disappointed, Nick, because you're not dressed like a plant tonight. I mean, I would have loved to see you dressed as a sunflower. That would have been really entertaining for everybody. So if we want to talk, so you are an advocate for the plant-based masculinity, and I think you want to talk a little bit more about that, right? So this is a hot topic. We see a lot of people talking about masculinity these days, and there is a major shift in the way we eat and consume, and this is an urgent and necessary shift in how we're thinking of things. Tell us a little bit more about that, how you approach this topic, and maybe what the importance is to embracing this idea of really compassionate plant-based masculinity, and how, and if you could, touch on a little bit of how that's a strength to actually be compassionate as a plant-based man.
This idea of plant-based masculinity has come up very recently for me. I posted after the Super Bowl, I said, hey, here are all the vegan things I ate for the Super Bowl. And yeah, I post vegan recipes and stuff all the time. But because it was the Super Bowl, somehow I ended up on like high school gym bro, protein powder, bro science Instagram. And all these kids who were like 16, 18 years old started coming out and being like, soy boy, beta, this or that. And I was like, all right, like, let's have a push-up contest. We'll see who does more. And I think it's something that is important because, similar to the environmentalism side, there are not a lot of straight, cisgendered white men in these spaces. And I was talking to a few of you before, across most social justice arenas, they are led by women, people of color, and the queer community. Yet the people making the decisions and who are in power look like me. And that's incredibly frustrating. And the idea of trying to show that you can be vegan, living on a plant-based diet, be fit, have a partner, have all of these things is important for me to try to reflect in my content that I create. And I think it's uncomfortable for other people to feel that way. I just posted a video 2 days ago, and it was one of those trends where it's like, I'm a this, of course I do this, and it's a joke. So I said, I'm a straight white guy that cares about social issues. Of course, my girlfriend's dad doesn't understand me, which he doesn't, for the record. He has no idea. He can't figure me out. We both played college baseball, and he just doesn't understand how I can be a vegan, whatever. But the point is, from that, it went viral. It's at like 700,000 views or something like that, pretty close to it. And all of these men are reinforcing exactly what we're talking about. Soy boy, beta, I bet your girlfriend has another boyfriend on the side, like all this stuff. And I'm thinking to myself, since when did the idea of compassion lose it in masculinity? And there are great role models for this, like Justin Baldoni in his book Man Enough and Boys Will Be Human. Amazing role model for this idea of masculinity. And I think so much of that needs to tie into the choices we make both from our planet and what's on our plate.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's just so many great examples. You know, people will say, like, where do you get your protein? And there are so many people who are proving day in and day out that, you know, guess what? Plants have protein too. So where your protein gets their protein, that's where we get our protein. So we skip the cruelty and the middleman. So if you could choose 3 small actionable steps that our audience could take to promote a better future for plants and the planet, what would they be? And we ask this of all of our guests with every single talk we have. And the reason is this. A lot of times it's really great to sit here and to have an educational talk and to learn something, to get to know people, to mix and mingle. What we want to do is something just a little bit different. We want to give all of you something you can actually do today, starting right now, to start making a difference for the planet and for the future. And for those of you who are already here, we know that you are already doing something. But for those of you who feel like you want to do a little bit more, if you have 3 ideas of actionable items people can do, will you share those, please?
Okay, 3 ideas. First, thrifting. I'm obsessed with thrifting. Every piece of clothing I'm wearing, including the Apple Watch, was bought secondhand. So big on that. And I think that just this idea of overconsumption in general, no matter what it is, even if it's not clothes or whatever it might be, it's super, super important. Number 2, I would say that if you have access to outdoor space, grow food and plant natives. Native plants are incredibly important to our ecosystem for so many reasons, and especially with our water issues here in California, There is a lot to be said for planting a native garden, and if you rip out your grass in California, you can get rebates that will actually pay for your lawn transformation. And there's a lot of resources with Save Our Water California that you can look into that. My landscaping business does a lot of that, both more so here in California, but also on the East Coast. So if you have questions or projects related to that for your home, please let me know. That's a very important subject for me. My third one was going to be eat more plants, which I think everyone here does already. So I'll change it and I'll say that if there is someone that you know who does not share these views, have a real in-person conversation with them over food. If you try to have conversations just in general, be it social media or sometimes just in person, it can struggle. But having something with food where they can sit, they can enjoy it, and you can just have an honest conversation is sometimes way more impactful than any type of media that you can have. Because we all say that, like, oh, it's the big corporations need to change this, change that. But if 10% of the world decided to change one behavior tomorrow, they would adapt. So no action is too small, no action is meaningless. And even if that person doesn't agree with you, just go on their phone and unfollow Fox News and follow a bunch of vegan accounts and stuff like that. It'll make a difference. But every action really does matter.
Thank you so much, Nick. We're so grateful for you for making the time to be here with us tonight. Congratulations on all of your success, and here's to so much more. Thank you for all you do for your well-deserved Emmy, of course. Now, Nick does have some signed copies, not with him tonight, but he does have some signed copies, I think about 20, that he has so graciously offered to let you purchase today, or tonight rather, although I'm going to buy one, so he's only going to have 19. But if you'd like to do that, go ahead and talk to him and he can get your information, so when he is back home, he can send those out to you, and he will sign those for you personally, so which is just so great. Thank you for being willing to do that. And it's called Plant Coach Book, is that right? Wonderful. And then just remind us real quick too, what are your socials so everybody can follow you?
It's just Farmer Nick on Instagram, and then Farmer Nick Jr. is where all of the kids' core stuff is going. So, yeah, if you have any plant questions, feel free to DM me too. Happy to help.
Thank you, Nick. And now I'd like to go ahead and welcome Better Earth Media co-founder Annalisa and her husband Anders Dunker back here on stage for a big announcement. So I want to thank Nick again. Thank you, Nick. All right, so this is the official launch of their new venture, Better Earth Productions.
Great! We did it! Lots of faces. Thank you all for coming out.
Lots of things happen when you get the green card.
Yes. So this is the beginning of a new chapter, and we're very excited. So Better Earth Productions was born in January, and we're taking the first little steps. And I'm not going to sit here and explain to you everything that it is and is going to be, because that's it will become on its own accord. But for now, it houses the projects that we already have, which is for me writing and books and articles, and also something we've been doing for a long time, environmental music and music videos. So that is...
So basically, everything that we were doing before with Dunker Media, our European company, now becomes Better Earth Productions. So all the environmental music videos we were doing with Inanna, the Inanna project. Inanna is my alter ego. If anybody doesn't know about Inanna, it's still me. and actually, one of our first upcoming projects will be a new music video. I've been collaborating with a London record label. They are really, really good, and they love the message behind the music. So that's going to be one of our first projects with Better Earth Productions. But then,
yeah, and then bigger steps. So this is not yet the time for announcements or anything of that sort, but we are developing a couple of documentary projects that we have great faith in, all environmental, all about the future of nature. That's our business.
yeah, we forgot to say that I mean, it's in the title of the company, but obviously all the productions will focus on environmental, climate storytelling and biodiversity in different forms, not only documentary, but in all kinds of artistic forms.
Yeah. So this is the idea, that climate storytelling, environmental storytelling, and all these different art forms coming together in different combinations. And we're really thrilled to be surrounded by so many good people who know so much, because we have a lot to learn. So thank you all for being here and for being there. Yes.
And for teaching us so much and for being so supportive with everything. And yeah, so Better Earth Media will keep being this networking platform and for educational events, and we'll keep being a nonprofit that Jane and I started, yes, 2 years ago. And Better Earth Productions. So Anders and I are married twice now because we're also a partnership. And that's it. So thank you all so much for coming and enjoy get to know each other, mingle, network. There's so many incredible, interesting people here in the animal rights field, environmental field. Oh, by the way, we have a couple of announcements, but also before that, the full animal tracks, not the full team, but a lot of the animal tracks people are here. Anders and I volunteer at a sanctuary every Wednesday, and they do amazing things for these animals. They give them a second chance. Please visit them, and you can book tours and you can get really up close with these animals and learn a lot about them. Jane was there, and yes, so please talk to them and visit. It's fantastic. And announcements and then party.
Yes, don't go anywhere yet, you two. Stay here. So first up, I want to say just a huge heartfelt congratulations to Annalisa and Anders for starting their own company, Better Earth Productions. This is super, super exciting. I'm just so proud of both of you for following this dream that you had in doing the work, and I've seen it over the last few years, how much just hard work and dedication they both have, and it's also a passion of theirs, which is fantastic. So I'm so proud of both of you, and I can't wait to see what the two of you do. I'm here to support you with whatever you need, of course. And just so happy that we have all of you here to support Better Earth Media and Better Earth Productions as well, because this is something that they're doing on their own, but we are all here, right, as a community to support them. Yes? Yes. Fantastic. So a couple of announcements really quick. Please don't miss oh gosh, everything is Better Earth to me tonight. Sorry about that. Please don't miss the Earth Day Summit, organized by Recycle to Riches, coming up on April 21st, and the Hollywood Climate Summit on June 24th to 28th. You'll find us there. Now, please enjoy the mix and mingle portion and take some pictures by the Better Earth Step and Repeat back here. Feel free to tag us. We are Better Earth. That's for everything. That's for Better Earth Media and Better Earth Productions, just to keep it simple. We want to thank you all so much for being here tonight. We appreciate every single one of you. Thank you, thank you. We cannot express our gratitude enough. Now enjoy the rest of the night and order some really amazing plant-based food. Thank you, everybody.